Okay, so can you all see me and hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so welcome everyone to this session on PowerShell with Azure. So this is the fifth session that is being conducted this month on Azure PowerShell, and again thanks to Kiran for spending his valuable time in helping us learn about PowerShell. So as you all know from these speaks that Kiran is a very special person when we say PowerShell, and we can know about it from his own words. Okay, and so we will also discuss towards the end after our initial session on our Azure projects initiative that we will be starting shortly. Okay, so all to you, Kiran, without wasting much time from my end, I will try to take some time towards the end, and then we can discuss about our future plans about Azure projects and other initiatives that we will be doing in our group. Okay, so without any uh, time wastage, all to you, Kiran.
Yeah, thank you, Hartin. That's really interesting. We are actually eagerly waiting for tomorrow morning call. Yeah.
Okay, again, it is not something which is um, groundbreaking or anything. So we are just going to start planning for our Azure Projects initiative, where we will be going one step uh, forward, and then actually getting our hands dirty building something. And so whatever we build will not be just a dummy project. So whatever we build will be eventually used by all our 35k plus members. Okay, so we will plan all those things tomorrow, but for now, all to Kiran for taking us through a wonderful journey on PowerShell. And one more thing, so today there is a small contest. So while you are going through these sessions, so just note down one anyone, or just prepare uh, one or two multiple choice questions. Okay, so to make it a little more interesting, so if you are practicing alongside, then you can skip that part. Otherwise, you can prepare one or two multiple choice questions, uh, and we will select the best question or best set of questions in the end. So just to make it a little more interesting, and just to make you also do something. Okay, but if you are actually doing something hands-on, then that is not needed, and then you can continue doing hands-on exercise. Okay, that is it from my side. Again, all to you, Kiran.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So without any further delay, let's jump in. Um, yeah, my voice is clear, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So as usual, about me, actually, welcome to the session. I'm an Azure PowerShell getting started. And about me is my name is Kiran Patnaikuni, and I'm working as a Cloud Ops engineering specialist. Again, this is my blog. All my work and everything is there in this blog. And also, I'm a moderator and ICYMI editor at PowerShell.org. You can follow me on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook page, as well as my GitHub repository. And I think mostly by end of today or tomorrow, as soon as Hatin uploads the video, all the recordings to the YouTube, I will publish this notes in my website there, where you can find that in the kpatnaikni.com/azps. Right. So with that, we can quickly jump into the point where we left yesterday. So before I actually go and tell you something about the Azure PowerShell, I should give you a little introduction. Few of the topics that I should mention in PowerShell. They are specific to PowerShell, applicable to all other modules. So I think I'm not sure whether I mentioned this or not. In PowerShell, everything is an object, right? So everything as an object in the sense, even you consider a text, I mean a string or an integer or anything, even though we in other programming languages we call them as a data types, though we call, I mean here as well we call them as call them as a data types as well, but they're treated as a they're treated as an object. So if you see anything as an object, there will be properties, there will be members, there will be properties, there will be methods, and sometimes events as well, right? So any you take any object, you will have properties. So to select those properties, you should use some command like select command, like to get all the commandlets where they operate against the objects. I can get it using the hyphen object, right? These are all the commandlets where we operate against the against the objects, right? Suppose I don't mention all of them, few are really needed, those I will mention. The select object is to fetch the properties from any object, and uh, and also for each object is iterate through the object. Suppose you get some 10 items, so those 10 items you want to do something on each item, so for that you can use for each object. And also measure is to count or to get count or to get sum or aggregate all of maximum, minimum, everything that we can get it using the measure object. And also sort object, sort, I think we all know that we can do it ascending or descending in a sorting. And where object, so actually this is very useful. The where object is to filter the output. Suppose if when you use get when you use get AZ VM, you will get all the VMs. But if you want to fetch only the VMs where they stopped or where they're running, so in that situation, we will use the where object, right? So rest, I think it's fine. You can give it a try in the Microsoft Docs. So today I'll just show you all, show you the select, where, and for each I'll show. All right, because they're all needed for our demo today. So if you see that, like, I think this select I already mentioned, but still I just wanted to show it again to get the resources. To get get AZ resource will get all the resources and with all the properties, and with whatever we get it, and only the properties that I want to see is the resource name and resource type and resource group name. So to get only those properties from all the resources, I can use the get AZ resource and pipe that to select object, and properties or the resource name, resource type, and resource group name. See here, whatever I'm mentioning, this part, this is applicable to PowerShell. Like you take any module, suppose you are working with the Active Directory or you are working with the Hyper-V, if you are working with Hyper-V hypervisor or any other, even the SQL Server or any other module that any other product that you are working, these are all the common, the commandlets that you use against those, the product commandlets. Right, so get AZ resource will get all the resources, and out of which I'm only interested in fetching the resource group, fetching the resource name and resource type and resource group name. So this way I can get, these are all the resource names that I have, and here if I see here, these are all the type of that particular resource, and the resource group, on which resource group they actually reside in. Right, so this way we can use the select object. And the other one is that where. See here, if I want to get the extension, VM extensions, I'm not sure whether it is there or not, but let's see. So if I want to fetch the resources where the resource type is the Microsoft, the resource type is the virtual machine extensions. So let's see whether they are there or not. Okay, looks like they're not there, but let's, sorry. Right, so these two are the VMs that I have in my current subscription. Right, so based on the type, I could filter. Right, here I'm getting all the resources, and where I am piping them, right, to the where object, right, the entire output will go to where object commandlet, and where the actually this dollar underscore represents the each item in the iteration. Right, suppose the get hyphen az resource will give me some 10 or 15 resources of different types. Okay, out of which I'm giving the entire output, the array of resources, that whatever I get it from the get az resource, I'm giving it to, it is going to the where object, using the pipe symbol. So when the where object receives all the input, to iterate through, because it has to check, right, every object type it has to check that dollar underscore represents the each individual item in that iteration. Right, so it has to iterate through all 10 or 15 10 or 15 items in that, and then it checks that the resource type, and then it will give the output. Right, so there are two types are matching with the Microsoft, with the virtual machine type, and those two are listed here. Right, this way we can use a where object. Even you can use with the AND also, AND or all the Boolean operator, all the arithmetical Boolean operators that you can use here. Right, so this way I could get it. And also sorting also there. Right, suppose if I want to get all the items using the sort. Right, so this is the way that I get all the resources, and out of that resources, from that resources, I get only resource group name and resource name, and I want to sort them by resource group name. So this way I can get in that order, ascending order, right? And where object, see here, now this time I want to add a tag, okay, for all the resources. So here what I'm doing is, first of all, the tags I have taken in a separate variable. So I want to add crit equals to 4 tag to all the resources where there is no tags. Right, here I've combined the where here, and I'm giving that output to the for each object. So here I get all the resources, and I'm fetching from all the resources where there is no tags at all. Right, null equals, actually in PowerShell this is the standard that they are using. We should compare with the null. You can use the other way around also, like dollar underscore dot tags equals to dollar null. So either way that you can use. So that means it filters where there is no tags. Right, once it identified all the resources where there are no tags, and it iterates through those resources, and then add tags. Okay, this is the tag I want to apply to all. Right, so before that I want to fetch the resources where they don't have the tags at all. Right, so this one will fetch all the resources where they don't have tags. Right, there are many are there. Now I want to add this crit 4 to those resources. So first of all, I took that tag into one variable. The tag should be in this format. Right, you can give with the semicolon separated if you have multiple values. If you have multiple tags are there, you can give it, actually it is called a hash table. Whatever that you give it between at the rate and curly braces, the name, the key and value pairs with comma separated are called hash table. So here I'm only taking one tag, right? And I want to add this tag to all these resources. So for that, what I can do is I'll get the resources and then figure out where there are no tags, and then I will run through each resource and then add the tag to each resource in the loop. Right, so if I run this, it will take a little bit time, but it will add. See, here it is adding each object. So even if you have a 10 or 100 or any resources, you can run it like this. And even in the PowerShell 7, there's a new option called parallel. You can run all of these things in parallel. Now it is running one by one, but there is an option called parallel, where if you mention that, it will run simultaneously. Right, so these are all that I wanted to show, where the select and where object and for each object. So these are all the common commandlets that we frequently use in our scripts. So that is the reason I took some time and explained these three. But there are many other. You can also go through the Microsoft documentation and you will see more there. And apart from that, there is a formatting. Suppose, see, these are all just to fetch the data, but to print it or to export it, you should have it in a proper format. Okay, so we have a multiple format commandlets, where the first one is the format table. That means you will get it in the tabular format. Okay, suppose if you have any output in the list format and you want to see them in the tabular format, there you can use that get. You can use a format table, and if any of the output that you see in the tabular format, and if you want to see them in the list format, you can use the format list. But other than these two, there are many other. Okay, let it run, because there are quite a few. Resource could not be found. Okay, fine. Okay, it is completed. So if you see here, all the tags are added here for all the resources we have, and we ran through loop. Right? So this way we can use the for each. And to see that format commandlets, you can use get command and format -star. So these are all the format commandlets, where today I'll only show format table and format list, but you can, yeah, this is a different thing. This format volume is for storage, to format any your volume, hard disk volume, that is used for this one, and that's a different thing. Or else we can get it like this. Right, these are all the formatting thing. Okay, so now I will discuss only about the format list and format table. So this one, see, if you run get-az resource, right, you will get all of them in the tab in the list format. List as in the name here and value here, right? So like that you will get it. But if you want to see them in the tabular format, you pipe that entire output to the format table, format-table, so that you will see that entire output in the tabular format. Right, again the view will be different. I think yesterday I told you, if you are using, if the default view is set to list, there will be more fields will be displayed. If it is set to table format, there will be different view. Okay, because it has to adjust to the width of the screen. Correct. So like that we will get it. And so we can also use the format table or format list to filter the, we can also use with the select object, or we can use with the format table as well. Right, so this way I can get the tabular format. Okay, this resource group and resource group name. Okay, so the resource name and resource group name. So this way we can filter, we can list the data. And now if I want to see this output in the list format, suppose the default output is something like this, and if you want to list, if you want to see them in the list format, you can use that format-list, so that you will see them sorry. Right, you will see them in the list format. Right, this way you can get it. Right, so I think, hope you guys understood. And today, now with this, we will go with how to create and configure Azure resources. And till now, I hope you guys understood. Okay, now since our motto of the session is to, I mean, eventually we want to create one virtual machine. So all these examples will be, I mean, will useful for to create the virtual machine at the end. So that is the reason I frequently use some of the values so that I will take them in the variable so that I don't need to type. So these two I will declare in my console. Okay, let me clear this screen. Right, so these two are the variables that I frequently use. Right, it has demo RG and it has location. Right, these two are the the variables, and these are the values stored in those variables respectively. And now I want to create that resource group. Right, so first of all, if I want to create any virtual machine, first of all, I should have one resource group. So this is the way that we can create the resource group. Right, there is a commandlet called new AZ resource group, and resource group name and the location, on which location I want to create. Right, so I'm giving, I mean, what are the output that comes, and it returns the resource group object. Once the resource group is created, it returns the output to the screen in the format of the resource group object. Okay, so that I am taking into the demo RG variable. See here in this, if I don't use the demo RG, but in your regular case, if you keep it in the script, I mean, if you write anything in the script, it should not display any unnecessary output on the screen. So to avoid that, you can assign that value to some variable or to null variable. Okay. However, I'll use this one here. So it will create one resource group with demo RG, okay, in the West US region. Okay, and now I want to create one storage account. Okay, this one is just a tricky part. Probably who are already experts in the PowerShell, they could easily identify. But this one, what I'm doing here is I'm getting a random string, right? So if I run this every time, okay, here I don't run, here I will run. So every time if I run, I'll get a random name. I think you all know that, right? The storage account should have small letters and should not contain any special characters in between, right? It should be starting from 3 to 24, I think, the length of the storage account, right? So I'm just using the count of 8 only. Okay, I'm actually this is a combination of numbers, and this is the combination of small letters. Okay, I mean small alphabetic order. I mean small alphabetics, right? This way that I can get the random numbers every time if I run. So that is the reason. What I will do is I will run it once. I'll take that as a storage account name so that it will not be unique every time. All right, so this is the storage account name I have. And now I'm going to create that storage account. So this storage account, I'm using the new AZ storage account. See here, you should, the naming convention, it's easy to understand. The new is a verb. I think I told you, new, set, get, add, remove. These are all the default and the basic verbs that we frequently use. Okay, this verb hyphen the product. Okay, this actually we are doing with the AZ, means Azure. So, and then this is the actual actually this is the actual service, okay, storage account service that we are using. Now with this we can easily understand that I'm going to create a new storage account. This command, by looking at this commandlet, you can easily understand. And it also takes the resource group. So az storage account hyphen the resource group name, and give the resource group name which I have declared here, and then the location is also mentioned here, and the name of the storage account, and the SKU. Okay, SKU that I'm going to use it with the standard LRS is enough for me. Rest, whatever are there, they're the default values it will pick and create a storage account. So these are all the mandatory one that you should provide. If you don't mention any other parameters, that means they will be there will be default values assigned to it, and those will be picked up and created the storage account. So now I'll create the storage account and store that storage account into a demo SG that I want to use it for the future use. This storage account I'm creating to enable the boot diagnostics. No, cannot. Okay, so here I've declared the resource group. So in this session only I should run this. Name. Okay, the storage account, I ran it on the other session. Okay, this is the storage account, and I want to use that storage account now. So this way I am creating a new storage account, and actually this the demo I think I've created long back, but now when you create a VM, by default it will create one managed storage account for you to enable the boot diagnostics by default. But still, as part of the demo, I'm just trying to show you, right? So yeah, here if you see here, the storage account is created with this name and demo RG and in WestUS. Okay, it is storage v2 is created with the hot, because I have not mentioned anything, so it has taken the default values. Right, this is how the values, this is how the storage account is created. And then I want to create one security group. Okay, the network security group. So here, see, it's not like, again, all the commandlets we cannot use like a single dimensional or two dimensional. It's like you have multiple the security rules are there. So when you have a multiple security rules, and again those security rules also have some kind of properties to create. So all of them, if you can mention here in the same commandlet, it will be too lengthy, and it cannot be mentioned in a single dimensional or it should be in the multi-dimensional way. So first of all, you should create the rules, okay, and assign those rules to the security group at the time of creating. Okay, so I'll show you how it will be. In this, I'm going to give the name of the NSG with the demo NSG. So I'm going to declare that. And first, I'm going to create LORDP. Okay, LORDP rule I'm creating. To create LORDP rule, you should use new AZ network security rule config. Okay, this is the commandlet to create a new security rule. Okay, once this new security is, new security rule is created, that I'm taking into this variable, and at the time of creating the security group, that time I'm giving the security rules. So here I'm creating two security rules. One is RDP rule and other is the web rule. Port 80 I'm using. So that is the reason I'm creating two. Right, so this is actually a straightforward commandlet. It works on the tuple format. It requires destination port, source port, destination port, source IP, target IP, and the protocol. Right, these are all the things it requires. So here additionally we can have the name and priority. right? And the protocol, which protocol we are using, TCP or UDP port, and direction in inbound or outbound, access, allow or deny. Okay, source port range, everything I'm allowing, and destination port is 3389. Okay, and address, source address prefix also I'm allowing everything, and destination also I'm fine. I'm only concentrated on the port number. So this way I'm creating one security rule, right? And also in the similar fashion, I want to create one web rule, right? This way the web rule is created. If you see this one, it is just straight away the values are assigned to the security rule, and these values that we are using when we are creating the security group, okay, network security group. Okay, these two values are there. Now what I will do is I will use it with the new AZ network security group. So these are all very straightforward names. You don't need to remember. Anyhow, in the regular usage also we call them like that only, like network security group and all. So here you can see that network security rule config. Since it has some configuration values assigned to it, so that is the reason they are using the config like that. Okay, this config is treated as a one rule. Here, if you see that I'm using these rules with the new AZ network security group and the resource group name, again, the location. These two are common. You have to mention for any resource that if you are creating. Even in the portal, we use we do the same. And the name of the resource, which is, the network security group, and the security rules. So RDP rule and web rule. With these two rules, I'm creating one network security group. It will take a minute or so because it's default time that it requires. So yeah, I think, yeah, it is finished. And if you see this one, it will give you a full length of NSG object along with the default security rules as well. So this, I think these are all common things, and also it will create the ID, right? And we have not given any tags here. However, these are all the security rules. That one we have given the allow rule, and other is allow 80. These two that we have given, and these are all the default one, like subnet to subnet and the internet access, everything that are the default ones are there, right? So those are those will also be created along with this one. So this way we can create NSG, and now we'll see how to create the. Okay, this one I should tell you, like yeah, this one since I have created the port allow 80. If anybody says like why 80, it is not secured and it is not encrypted, I want to change that to 80 to 8080. So this way, if anybody says that, you can do it using the PowerShell quickly. So to remove any of the NSG and add new NSG, these are all the commandlets. Anyhow, I'm not going to run this now, right? So to remove the network security rule, this is the commandlet: remove -az network security rule config and the name of the rule. Okay, from that network security, that the commandlet that we have created, right? So see, here we created, but in your case, if it is already created, you should use the get commandlet to get it, and then you have to assign, you have to pass that value here for the remove AZ network security rule config, right? So once this is removed from that object, then you need to update it to the Azure service. So to update, set. Okay, the value, the network security rule is removed from this demo NSG object, and whatever the removed one, you should update in the service, okay, Azure service. So for that, you should use like this. You should give this value to set AZ network security group. So this way it will update in the Azure service. And to create new one, again, here we should use add. Okay, see, earlier when we are creating, we are using the new, but this time we are adding. Okay, new one. I want to add to the existing NSG. right? So for that, I should give the add AZ network security rule config. This time I'm giving port 8080, right? And also all other are same here. And again, I've added that value to the demo NSG1, right? So, and once you add it, you want to add that to the Azure service. For that, you should use set AZ. Again, here also same. To update it to the Azure service, you should use set AZ network security group, right? Okay, now we will create one subnet. Okay, and these are all the default values that I want to use it. The VNet name, I want to use demo VNet, and the address prefix, I want to use 192.168.0.0/16, and my subnet will be this. Okay, first of all, I'll declare them. And see here also it is something similar. Here what we have done is we have added the network the security rules separately. First we created them separately and then added to the NSG. Here also we should create the we should create the subnet separately. We should create the subnet first and then add it to the we should add it to the virtual network at the time of creating. All right, so this way I could create subnet. Okay, whatever the subnet that I'm creating, I'm adding into the subnet variable. To create new subnet, you should use new AZ virtual network subnet config. Okay, this is very straightforward. The virtual network subnet, the config, because this is a set of values are there, so that is the reason they're calling it as a config. So for that subnet, we are using the subnet name which we have assigned here, and the address prefix also we assigned here. Yeah, this one, and the network security group, that one which we created recently, right? So this is the one that we created, right? So this one I'm referencing it there. So here I'm using the network security group ID, which is there in that variable that we previously created, that I'm referencing here, right? So with that, I am attaching this subnet, associating this subnet to that NSG that we created. Right, so yeah, sometimes the warnings will be given by the Microsoft team that any breaking changes will be there in future, that they will suggest us. If you don't want, you can turn this off. Right, this way I've created the subnet, and now with that subnet, I want to create one VNet. So yeah, that whatever the VNet that I'm going to create, I will add, I will assign that to one variable called demo VNet, because why I'm using, why I'm assigning all these two variables, in the sense I will use them in the later scripts. That is the reason I'm taking them into the variables. So here, if you see that, again, it's very straightforward commandlet, new AZ virtual network. Resource group location name is very common. The name that we have already given here, VNet name. So the same VNet name I'm using here. And address prefix, that whatever the address prefix, VNet address prefix that I'm using here, I'm referencing. And the subnet name, right? This is the subnet name that I have, that I've created here. Okay, so I think this will also take a little bit time. Again, with that subnet, once we created the subnet, just in case if you want to change the address space, like you want to delete one VNet, subnet, and you want to add new subnet. This is the way, same way that we removed one security rule and then added a new one. The same way, if you want to remove that, remove the subnet and create new subnet, this is the script. Okay, first of all, I need to add which address I want to assign. So here, if you see, I've assigned 1.0/24, but my actual subnet requires 0.0. Okay, so now what I will do is I've assigned this one into one variable. And now I am filtering that subnet by its name, okay, the subnet name, and then I am assigning that address prefix to the new one here. This is the new one that I'm adding. So that means whatever the address prefix which we previously assigned, that will be reassigned with the new one. Okay, this way that you can do it. See, don't get confused. It's very straightforward. All, or you can get it with the tab completion. Okay, so I'm referencing the demo VNet, the VNet variable. I mean the VNet object, and VNet object will have subnets. So in that subnets, I am filtering by its name, and whatever that object that I got it, I am getting the address prefix by its dot notation, and then I'm assigning that value here. So whatever I've done it here in the locally. Now I have to send it to the Azure service. So for that, I should use that demo VNet pipe that to set AZ virtual network, right? So that it will update it in the Azure service side as well. Okay, this way I could change the address prefix, and here I can add a new subnet to the existing VNet. So for that I will get a new, because here what we have seen is that we are creating, for the first time we are creating subnet and we are creating the virtual network. But here, once the virtual network is created, and we are going to add a new subnet for this one. So this is the subnet name I'm going to use for the second subnet, and this is the address prefix. Since here I've already changed, I can use this now, because if I don't do this one and if you directly do it, it will not accept because it is already there for the first time when I created. Okay, this is the address space that I want to use, and this time I will use, instead of new, I will use add. Okay, once and rest all are same, that address prefix and the network security group ID all are same, and here I'm doing it locally, right? So here I'm doing it locally by using the demo VNet. I can set it to the Azure service in the Azure service, right? This way you can add a new subnet to the existing VNet. Right, so let's see whether our VNet is created. Yes, our VNet is created. Right, so this is the way that we can create the VNet. And now I will create one PIP, public IP address. Okay, for that I should assign one name, public IP name. So I'll take that into the variable. And this is also straightforward, new AZ public IP address. Okay, resource group name, location, and PIP name. And here I'm giving the allocation method is dynamic. I don't want the static one. If you want static, you can use static one. All right, this is very straightforward, all the commandlets. And next, NIC. With all this information, we should create the NIC. And this NIC will actually reference to our virtual network. Our virtual machine. Right, so our public IP is created, and however, it's just created but not assigned to any NIC. Right, so now we are going to assign it. So for that, first of all, I'm going to create one NIC, and I'm declaring the variable, the NIC name, and here I'm using the I'm creating the NIC, the network interface card. So this is also straightforward, new AZ network interface, resource group name, location, and the NIC name. And here I'm referencing to that which subnet it has to use. So I'm using the reference I'm using here is the VNet dot subnet, and the first subnet, the 0 means it is indexing the first. If it is only one, it will take the first one. If it is many, still it will take the first one, and the ID. And here I am assigning that public IP here, whatever the public IP that I have created here, that I am referencing here. That public IP ID is fine, so that it can connected to it and fetch the public IP from the service. So this way that I am creating the network interface card, right? And this network interface card will be referenced to our VM. All other will not be referred. I mean, so far you have created NSG, and you have created the VNet, and you have created the public IP and all. But those you are all everything you referenced here in the network interface card, and this network interface card will go to the VM. Right, so that these are all the fundamental things that we require before we are actually creating the virtual machine. Looks like the session will continue another 10 minutes. Please bear with me, it will complete by today itself. Okay, so yeah, now I'm going to deploy the VM. And these are all the required variables required to deploy a VM. So first of all, anyhow, we have already declared the resource group name, okay, demo-rg, and the location already we have given, and the VM name. Okay, this the demo-VM I'm going to create. Of course, it will be the same, and the computer name also it will be the same. But if you want to give a different naming convention as per your company standard, you can change that here. And D2V2 VM size that I'm going to use, and I'm going to deploy 2019 data center, Windows server, and the system admin credentials also I'm going to take here. Right. So let me declare these values here, since I've already okay, anyhow, okay, RG name I used. I'm going to take entire thing, everything, and declaring them in my session. Right, so all are declared, and now I'm going to create the credentials, admin credentials. Right, here I have to enter the credentials. Right, see here I'm entering manually, but once you have scripted all of these things, there is another way how to create the PS credentials. Okay, that you can Google it easily. You can find there are many articles are there how to create PS credentials from the plain text, so that you don't need to enter. It will fetch from your safe and create PS credentials and pass it to the VM creation commandlet. So now I have my credentials here. Anyhow, you can see here. All right. So now see the VM also, it's not a single command again. It's not like straightforward like a new AZ VM and give all the parameters. It will create means it will be whole like it will be like very big length of commandlet, so that we have to first split we have to create the configuration of the VM, and then by using that configuration we have to assign that to the actual we have to assign we have to use that along with the new AZ VM commandlet. All right, so first of all I'm going to create one VM configuration. Okay, the VM configuration is like it can accept multiple commandlets. See here I'm just creating the first configuration, but later if you see here I am adding those values to that configuration. Right, so I'll show you all of them. First let me create a VM configuration with VM config equals to, I should keep those values, right? So that is the reason I'm keeping them into the variable. And to create VM config, the new commandlet, the commandlet is new AZ VM config, and VM name and VM size. This name and VM size variables that we have already declared. So that is the reason I'm directly using them. See here I'm giving those values, but in your script you can use these values as a parameters, and you can run it at the time of in the runtime itself. Okay, you don't need to hard code any of these things. You can use them as a parameters, like how we are passing here as a parameters. Like that, for your own script you can pass them as per your need. Okay, I'll take this and I'll run it. Right, so this way that I've created the just basic VM configuration. This VM configuration can accept multiple values. We'll see when we are progressing. So this is the way that I mean, initially we can create the configuration by the VM name and VM size. Then I'm adding the operating system details, right? For that, set AZ VM operating system. Okay, these values are like, now I'm going to create Windows operating system, and the Windows operating system name is whatever the name that I've mentioned here. That name will come here, and the credentials that what I have created, the credentials, that credentials will come here. And these values again will be given to the VM config variable. Right? See, now if you see here, that here name and VM size only, but here OS profile is also added. Right, and after the OS profile, I'm going to set the image reference, like which version of the OS it has to install and from where it has to install. So the create option is from the image. Okay, for that, the image is already there from the publisher source image in the marketplace. So that I'm mentioning here, set AZ VM OS disk. Okay, create it from the image. That I'm telling it to my configuration. So here the storage profile, it is created with the OS disk information. And here I'm mentioning that which image that I have to use, okay, or the VM I mean used to be created. So for that, set AZ VM source image. Okay, the source image you should get it from the publisher that we already mentioned here. The publisher name is Microsoft Windows Server. Yesterday I showed you how to fetch this information, right? So this is the way that we can use it. So the publisher name and offer is Windows Server, and SKU is 2019 Data Center. And I want to use the latest version. Right, so image reference also added to the storage profile. And after that, we are going to add that nick we have created, right, in the previous example. So here, this nick that we created, we are going to reference that here. So to add that nick, you should use something like this. See, for here we are adding everything. We are not creating anything, and it is not affecting in the Azure service. Okay, whatever we are creating in the local, system itself in the form of configuration. Right. So VM config. I mean, we are actually using AD. I mean, we are using add AZ VM network interface, and that NIC ID we are referencing here, and this is the primary one. Suppose if you have a secondary one, you don't need to, I mean second NIC, you don't need to use this primary for the second NIC. But for the first time if you are using, you should use that as a primary NIC. Right, so the network profile also added. And now I want to add a second, I want to add a data disk. So for that, to add a data disk, again, it's like add -az VM data disk. Very straightforward, and give that disk size. I want to create 1000, I mean like 1 TB disk. LUN is 0. Okay, if you are creating the second one, I mean, yeah, second data disk, you should use 1 here, like that it will continue. And it's a blank. I don't want to create it from any existing image. I want to create a blank, empty, disk here. Right, so now I want to create, I want to enable the boot diagnostics. So if you remember that first time what we created the storage account, we stored that in the demo SA. Right, again, the setting the boot diagnostics also very straightforward. Set -az VM boot diagnostic. Okay, and the resource group, and I am enabling that the boot diagnostics. And if you don't want, you can mention the disable here. And the storage account, I mean, to disable, you don't need to mention the storage account name, but to enable, yes, you need to mention the storage account name. Okay, that should be there in the resource group. So this, okay, so here, I think I should change it in this one. Here, I should use the storage account name. Right, so this is the storage account name I've added for the boot diagnostics. So with that, we have created all the configurations required to create a VM. And now this will create a VM, new AZ VM, and the resource group name and the location. And so far, whatever the configuration that we have created, that configuration I am using here. I'm passing that configuration here, and I'm going to run this. Right, this is going to create a VM. So for to get more information from this, or else, okay, let it be like this. So yeah, I'll run this. With this, I mean, it's going to create. It will take bit time. In the meantime, I'm ready to take your questions, if at all, if any. And Hetin, you there?
Yeah, I am here. I was just checking. Okay, so there was one question a little bit earlier. Kiran, would you be able to show how to list untagged VM and tag?
Okay, I'll do it after this VM is created.
Okay, so any other questions here? I think in Zoom there are no new questions. So let me quickly check the Facebook page. So meanwhile, you can ask questions. So anything related to your PowerShell learning, experimentation, or how you want to proceed in future. So we are winding up the PowerShell sessions today, but again, Kiran will be available here again to answer our queries within the group. So and then he has also agreed to help us in one of sessions in future also. So you can ask your doubts now or in future also, but if you are asking now, then we can get it cleared as early as possible, and then you can continue your journey with PowerShell. Okay, so again, so these sessions will not be of much use if you don't practice. Okay, so do practice. So these were very good sessions, very hands-on sessions. So if you go to any of these any of the courses, then you would have to spend a lot of money to enroll in any of such courses, and then so you will get some trainer who has much less experience and even credibility compared to Kiran. So make use of these learning opportunities and learn more and ask more questions, and then let us all learn together and then grow together. Okay, how to get all these recorded sessions? Okay, Praveen, so I have just posted it below as a comment. So there is a playlist for just for this Azure PowerShell playlist, and I have shared the link there, and you can get all the 5 recordings. So as of now, there will be 4, and I'll be adding today's session shortly.
Yeah, and right after that, I'll share these notes in my website.
Okay, so yeah, so remember the website name. I'll anyway post it below the YouTube video also, and even the group. Okay.
Okay, I'll take another 1 minute time because the VM is created. Right, so if you see here, we have seen that success code is true, right? So that means the VM is created successfully. So to get that VM, we can use that. I want to get that VM into a one variable equals to get hyphen az VM, right? And the resource group is again RG name, and the name will be the $VM name. So now I have that VM created. So this is the VM that I mean just now I created. And to see the VM running status, you can use the status here. That means I see here the VM is running. Okay, so this way we can get it. Looks like this output is changed in the latest version of the Azure PowerShell. Otherwise, it was like not this much length of output earlier. Okay, and I think one question that they asked, right? So that I'm going to show now. So for this VM, if I want to add, I mean, you are asking to add the tags, right? So suppose I want to add tag equals to, okay, crit4, I want to add. Okay, and also I want to add department equals to IT. Right, so these two values that I want to add to my VM. So anyhow, I have that VM object, right? This is my VM object, and in this object, if you see here, tags will be there. VM dot tags equals to. Actually, this way also we can add, and there is an, I think the before example also I showed, right? That way also you can add. Can I mean use my screen?
Hello everyone. So is it me who got out of the meeting, or is it Kiran who got out of the meeting? Okay, okay. It looks like Kiran got disconnected. We will wait for a minute and then we can get him back. So yeah, in these days we cannot be sure that who has got disconnected, because internet is not very stable. We cannot blame them. Also, a lot of people are actually working from home these days. Okay, so I'll take any of the non PowerShell specific questions if it is there. Uh, Praveen has asked if there are any DevOps sessions in future. Yeah, DevOps sessions are there. So it will come after our 104 and 204 because for the DevOps certification, either 104 or 204 is a prerequisite. So we have kept it post that. But as part of our Azure projects initiative, we will be touching upon some of the DevOps tools as part of those projects. Okay. 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 Yeah. Kiran is back. I'm just making him a panelist. Okay. When is 104 training getting started? So the plan is to start by Tuesday, 8 p.m. So Monday we generally want to keep it free because we generally conduct sessions on weekends. So many people are helping us for doing these sessions. So Monday is a off day for all of them, including us.
Okay, I mean, is my screen visible? I'm not sure why it was disconnected in between.
Yeah, it is visible now.
Okay. So here the VM insert -az VM and hyphen. Okay. Okay, we can do like this: get resource as resource, and the resource name is $VM, oh, VM name, and type, resource type is the virtual machine. Right, this I'm going to take in our set-az resource tag and $tag. Yes, it will. If you don't want to ask this one, you can use -force here. Okay, so now if you see that my VM has that tags. To see it in the real time, you can run it this command again. So here you can see these tags. So this way you can add. I mean, usually we use to add the the tags like this, but also you can use with the set-az VM command also. But now I'm not able to recollect like that. I'll maybe post it later in the recording. In the session recording. But this way you can add the VM tags, right? So first of all, you need to get the VM by its type and the name of the VM. And then you have to use that set-az resource, okay? And give the tag. And what are the tags that we had created right here? So this is the tags that we had created. Two tags, one is crit and the other is the department. And here you can reference that tag here, right?
Yeah.
I think one more question was I've seen how to create multiple VMs and all. At least now, I'm not going to create the multiple VMs now. I'll show you how to create the multiple resource groups. Probably you could simulate the same way. Suppose I want to create 3 resource groups in the same in the series. So first of all, I want to create, suppose, a demo RG1 and demo RG2, demo RG3. So these 3 resource groups that I want to create. So for that, I have to use the for each object. I think that's what I mentioned the earlier examples. For each, what I'm going to do is now I'm using with the new AZ resource group, and the location I'm giving here is West US location, and the name will be $_. See, $_ I told you, right? This is whatever the data is coming from the pipeline. Okay, that data, individual data, that individual item will be $_. If it doesn't have any properties, the entire object will be given here $_. And if it has any properties that you want to use, you can use that along with the dot notation. So now I'm going to create these 3 resource groups. Okay, the first one is created, the second one is created, and the third one is created. So for your case, whatever the VM that we have discussed here, so those VM, the entire script, you can write it in the script file, and that script file you can use here in the for each object. Here you can use that script name, so that it can pick the values from the pipeline and use those values here in the script and create multiple VMs, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Kiran.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think a few more questions were like, one is I have wondered, since most of us are not able to practice this due to lack of Azure account, is it possible to see all commandlets and syntaxes you taught today by some help command? like apart from a website, is it possible to get all commandlets and syntaxes by some help command in Azure PowerShell itself?
Yes, see, today I'll share this link, right? So here I'm giving the links for all of the things that I've covered. So this the initial links are about the Azure Cloud Shell. Here you can use all of your Cloud Shell references. You can get it. So this one you are asking, right? PowerShell, sign in with the PowerShell module browser. Okay.
And also, since Abhilash brought up this point, we were thinking about this thing for some time. So basically, there are a few people who does not have account to practice, and then there are some people who has account to practice. So we were planning to set up some lab sessions, and so these lab sessions we can make it pair programming based, or we can do it in smaller groups with at least one person having account, and then others can discuss with him and then practice it all together. So we'll be using a feature of Zoom called breakout rooms. So so you can go into different breakout rooms. You can practice as a group, and then so me, Kiran, and a few other volunteers will be roaming around in each of these rooms, and then we will help you out if you are stuck on some things. So it will be like so going to a institute and then going to different rooms. So we'll be walking through different rooms, and then you can practice. So if at least one person in that group has an account, so then you can practice it as a group until you have a account to practice on. This something is always better than nothing. And then once you are practicing it alongside somebody, your accountability will be also a little bit higher than you do alone.
Yeah, so here you can go to this link that I've given in my portal, right? Browse modules. Yeah, PowerShell module browser. Here you can go, and here there is a quick filter called AZ PowerShell. Right now it is 4.7.0. So these are all the modules we have, and which module you want to go, there you can go, and you can quickly reference your commandlets. So here, if you go to the resources, so these are all the commandlets are there in that module. So you can use any of these modules. Suppose you want to see this one, if you click here, you will get the help also. So this way you can go. And there is a Microsoft Learn that automate Azure tasks using the scripts with the PowerShell. So this is also a good thing that actually this I have not mentioned in my link. I mean, in the links, probably I'll mention that later. But you can search like this. Right, automate Azure tasks using the scripts with the PowerShell. And I believe in this, I think I have seen the sandboxes where it was not asking about the subscription, but just give it a try. But however, as Hartin mentioned, probably we can come up with any sort of lab kind of thing if it is possible. I'm not sure. Possible, then it's really good for the folks who doesn't have the subscription.
Yeah, so that is our plan. Hopefully it will work out. We will experiment soon. So once after we start, I said 104 classes, we will experiment, and then if it is successful, then we can continue doing it. So you can also come up with suggestions to improve our learning experience, because in this group, our objective is to have more live sessions and then learn together and then grow together, as I always say, because there are many other groups where you can see people sharing blogs, videos, and all. And even we under this group also, we have another specialized group for like sharing videos, posts, and all those things. But so this main group, we want to focus it mostly for learning live. talking to live people, asking live questions, and making it an active group with real people. So that is our plan. So any other questions from anybody? There was one. Okay. So not sure, Arun Hassas, I'm not sure if it is a silly question. There are no silly questions. So, is there a way to change the background to a different style? I thought it would be of a standard color only, like a black. Please ignore if it is irrelevant. So you are talking about this editor background, right?
I think so. I think I think the same question I got it from somebody. Yeah, this is actually I told you right there here. I mean the Windows terminal. You go to this link. There are it is also open source project, right? And there are many tools and features and options are available here. You can go to some of the links. Yeah, these are all the resources where you can go and check how you can set your terminal like this. There's a background color, and even this command light colors also you can change. Everything you can change. It's like very customized. Even I think in my blog also I've written about the Windows terminal. Probably you can go and check.
Yeah, thanks, Kiran. So I am not finding any more questions. And yeah, before we wind up, again, once again, special thanks to Kiran for all these sessions. And as a small token of our sharing, by sharing our thank you. So you can use, you will provide you a Zoom business account till end of this month. So we generally provide till end of this month because we don't know which tool we'll be using next month. Usually we take subscriptions for a month. We don't do it for a long term. And so you can experiment with it. You can do whatever you want with it. So you can just share any of your, you can create a new account and then share. I will allocate a business license, so that the advantage with the business license is by default you get to have meetings with 300 people. And another very good feature I like is you can generate transcripts. Okay, so whatever sessions you take, you get everything transcripted, so that you can convert it into blog or ebook or whatever you want in just by going through it and then editing minor mistakes. So yeah, that is one good feature that is not normally available with the normal paid versions of Zoom. So yeah, you will so you can share whatever account you want to have this license attached, then we will do it. So it is actually yeah, provided from the Trainso accounts, where my parents are experimenting with a new initiative during their lockdown. So again, so some so we can all collaborate, learn together. So this is a new normal now, online trainings and then online life. So yeah, hopefully we can all meet again soon, maybe next year, early next year sometime, because there are many meetup groups in Bangalore. So I used to go regularly as a speaker and as a attendee. So once all these things settle down and once actual real meetups start again, we can all see again in person rather than through Zoom. So until then, I think Zoom and all online training tools will be relevant. Okay, so I will so share with it Kiran, and then you can experiment, you can take your trainings, and you can also get better. And so we have also many people who have joined us yesterday and today to help us, okay, to help us manage this group. As you know, I have been in leave for some time. I wanted to bring back this group to a good state, clean of all spams. I wanted to set few practices and policies for the group. I think things are in order now, but I would need more help from more people to take this group forward in the cleaner way as it is now, with more live sessions and less spam. Okay, so whoever comes to this initiative, either they can help in moderation or they can come and take sessions. So few people said that they are new to taking sessions, but they want to take. So for those people, we will have a limited small member group where they can actually experiment taking sessions. I'll provide feedback. I will help them become better trainers, and they can also come and then share whatever they want. And if you are a trainer, or if you are selling a course online, you can also come and then take a session for the group and then share about your initiatives, rather than just sharing the link. So that is how in any meetups, if you have gone to any meetups, that is how things are done, right? So you come, you take a session, you contribute something, and then you share about whatever initiatives you are doing or whatever courses you are selling. It is completely up to you. But so there should be some contribution, and then you can take things. But without any contribution, if we allow, then it will again be it will again be like a marketplace, like it was before a few months back. Okay, so yeah, that are some updates. Again, thanks again, Kiran. So you want to add anything? And
Oh, it's like, I mean, I should also say thank to you, because I mean, this is really nice for me to share my knowledge. Probably I can get more feedback if at all, if I need to change something, or if I need to improve anything, I'm happy to take, and I'll try to change that in my future sessions. I think in the morning, I think I was talking to Hatin, like if at all, if there is any other slots available in between to fill the gap, I can definitely jump in, and whatever I'm learning, I could definitely share it with the team.
Yeah, definitely. So your sessions were extremely useful, and it was actually completely 90% hands-on. So it will generally give a lot of confidence for people watching it to learn. So generally, for if it was more theoretical, then we could have included some questions in between. So just to make sure people are awake and then not sleeping. Yeah. So yeah, so that is something which we can add in future.
No, I think I forgot that. Your suggestion is really good. Probably tomorrow onwards, daily once or like that, I can create one, one question with the multiple choices, and I can share it in the group. Probably that can be answered by anyone.
Yeah, that would be great. Oh, I forgot about our multiple choice question competition. So did anybody actually create at least one multiple choice question during this time, or you are all busy practicing? Okay, you have to reply something. You have to either mention P for practicing, or a Q for a question, or N for did not do anything. Okay. Yeah, there is a B. Okay, busy practicing. Okay, so at least people were practicing, so that is a good thing. So Abhilash was saying I could not find the sandbox any link.
Okay, at least you can go through this. It has a lot of information, and if you can go through, you will get some idea. Here, if you see, this is the one I'm talking about. Like, Okay, let me log in this to activate my. I think all my accounts has like you. I mean, you try this one. Probably you will get it, Blush. See here, I think till 6th unit, if you go in the learn, probably it will sign in to activate the sandbox. Here you don't need any subscription, I believe. This module requires a sandbox to complete. A sandbox give you access to Azure resources. Your Azure subscription will not be charged. Okay, I think it is also required the subscription, but I'm not sure. Give it a try. Otherwise, just wait for a few more days. Probably Hatin can help us.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Kiran. Okay. So it is 9:30. So in India. So and so different time at different time zones. So this is a good initiative. So that and good support from people who have joined from different time zones. So we will meet tomorrow and then continue our journey with discussions about planning for our project. So we'll not start working on the project immediately, but I will tell you some of the prerequisites that can help you get yourself ready for a project. And so it will be a real world kind of projects, and then you will also have some kind of mock interviews before you actually start working on these projects. Okay, so similar to how we will interview people who are coming to work in our company or teams. Okay, so this will be a complete end-to-end experience for you guys. Okay, so we will meet again tomorrow, but 8 a.m. IST, and which is 7:30 p.m. PST. So we will discuss about a few things related to projects, and then we will continue our journey. Okay, so so Srinivas is asking, please ping this link in chat. Okay, yeah, Kiran has pinged. Okay, so okay, Srinivas itself got it. Okay, yeah. So thanks a lot, everybody who attended this session, and a special thanks to Kiran for being our first guest speaker for this month, and hope to see and hear from him more in coming days. Okay, thanks everybody who attended this from beginning till end, and then we will continue our learning with newer things in coming days. Okay, so
Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Kiran, and bye bye all, and see you all tomorrow.
See you. Bye bye.